Bernie Madoff.
Bernie Madoff.
Bernie Madoff. Bernie Madoff.
The Bernie Madoff.
Bernie Madoff.
Bernie Madoff, the mastermind of the biggest Ponzi scheme in history, has died.
The con man behind the biggest Ponzi scheme in history.
Imagine building a $65 billion empire, not with innovation or industry, but by pulling the wool over the eyes of Wall Street's best and brightest. For decades, Bernie Madoff lived like a king, lavish homes, private yachts, and an empire that even regulators admired. But behind the facade was the biggest financial fraud in American history. This is the true story of how one man pulled off the con of the century. Welcome to our channel, where we uncover the most shocking real-life stories from around the world. Hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss our weekly documentaries. Chapter 1. The Early Years, Humble Beginnings. Bernard Lawrence Madoff was born on April 29, 1938, in Queens, New York, to Jewish parents. His father worked as a plumber and stockbroker, while his mother ran a small business. The family was modest, far from the affluent circles Bernie would later mingle with. But even as a young boy, Bernie had an uncanny ability to charm, convince, and dream big. After graduating from Hofstra University with a degree in political science, he founded Bernard L. Madoff Investment Securities, LLC in 1960, using $5,000 he had saved from lifeguarding and installing sprinkler systems. He positioned the firm as a penny stock trader, but it would evolve into something far more influential and sinister. Chapter 2. Rise of a Wall Street Legend. Throughout the 1980s and 1990s, Madoff's name became synonymous with success on Wall Street. He was a pioneer in electronic trading and helped establish NASDAQ. His legitimate brokerage firm was making money the old-fashioned way. But it wasn't enough. Behind the scenes, Madoff began offering an exclusive investment advisory business to select clients. He promised and consistently delivered returns of 10 to 12%, regardless of market conditions. The strategy? A secretive method he called the split strike conversion. Investors didn't question it. In fact, many were just grateful to be allowed into what seemed like a miracle fund. Charities, pension funds, celebrities, and billionaires lined up to give him money. Even banks and financial firms trusted him. But there was no secret strategy. The returns were fake. It was all a massive Ponzi scheme. Chapter 3. The Mechanics of the Scam. A Ponzi scheme is simple. You pay old investors with money from new ones. But what made Madoff's version unique was its scale, sophistication, and the blind trust he commanded. There were no trades happening. Statements were forged. Paperwork was backdated. Profits were entirely fictional. Madoff's firm produced meticulous but entirely fake documents showing consistent profits. The statements looked so real that even seasoned investors were fooled. Since withdrawals were rare and new money kept pouring in, the scheme continued for decades. By some estimates, Madoff's firm was managing as much as $65 billion, money that only existed on paper. He kept his advisory business on a separate floor with restricted access, limiting the number of people who truly knew what was going on. Even employees were compartmentalized. Chapter 4. Red Flags Ignored. Not everyone was fooled. Financial analyst Harry Markopoulos tried to warn the SEC as early as 2000, providing detailed reports showing that Madoff's returns were mathematically impossible. But the SEC failed to act. They were either too trusting, too overwhelmed, or too incompetent. Multiple whistleblower attempts, inconsistent audits, and missing trade confirmations were ignored. Madoff's impeccable reputation and powerful connections in the financial world created a shield against scrutiny. He was even appointed chairman of NASDAQ, adding to his credibility. Ironically, some people suspected the operation was too good to be legal, but assumed insider trading, not a Ponzi scheme. Few believed Madoff capable of outright fraud. Before we go to next chapter, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss our weekly documentaries. Chapter 5. The Collapse Begins. The House of Cards began to crumble in 2008 during the global financial crisis. When markets crashed, investors started pulling out their money, about $7 billion in redemptions. Madoff couldn't keep up. There wasn't enough new money coming in to cover withdrawals. On December 10, 2008, Bernie confessed the fraud to his sons, who worked at the firm. They immediately reported him to authorities. The next day, the FBI arrested him. He reportedly told them, "There is no innocent explanation." Chapter 6. The Fallout. The impact was devastating. Thousands of people lost their life savings. Charities were wiped out. Financial firms collapsed. Total losses were estimated at $18 billion in actual invested money, though $65 billion had been reported on fake account statements. Madoff pleaded guilty to 11 federal felonies, including securities fraud, wire fraud, and money laundering. In 2009, he was sentenced to 150 years in prison. His assets were seized, his reputation destroyed, and his family devastated. His son Mark committed suicide in 2010, and his other son Andrew died of cancer in 2014. Madoff himself died in prison in 2021. Chapter 7. How did he get away with it for so long? Madoff's success hinged on trust, secrecy, and a willingness by investors and regulators to believe in easy profits. He targeted the wealthy, made his funds seem exclusive, and delivered results that felt too good to pass up. He didn't chase investors, they chased him. This psychological manipulation added credibility. After all, how could someone who didn't even advertise be running a scam? Regulators failed due to lack of coordination, resources, and skepticism. The SEC's multiple missed opportunities became a cautionary tale for financial oversight. Chapter 8. Legacy and Lessons. Bernie Madoff's story remains a sobering reminder of human greed, blind trust, and regulatory failure. The SEC overhauled its investigation procedures and whistleblowers are taken more seriously now. The trustee appointed to recover funds, Irving Picard, has returned more than $14 billion to victims, an astonishing feat. But the emotional and financial damage will never be fully repaired. Many elderly victims lived their final years in poverty, betrayed by a man they trusted with everything. Madoff didn't just steal money, he shattered lives. Bernie Madoff's fraud was massive, but its foundation was terrifyingly simple: trust. When that trust is exploited, the damage is limitless. If you found this story shocking, like this video and subscribe to our channel for more deep dive documentaries into the world's most infamous events and figures. What would you have done if you were offered 12% annual returns, guaranteed? Let us know in the comments below. And remember, keep your pockets safe.